Since their release, Lion Chariots have been one of my favorite units for the High Elves. They're just so cool. Unfortunately, they haven't been very good in Warhammer 3, so hopefully they're better now in 3.1 after they got a significant mass buff. So today we're going to be seeing Michael take them against Cathay. We've heard before from High Elf mains that this potentially can be a tough matchup for High Elves. Let's see what Cathay's rocking here as the rockets open up. They're definitely rocking some rockets. As is Miao Ying here, also rocking some crane guns and a grand cannon. We've got a couple iron hails, ROR Celestial Dragon Guard in the back. We've got some Jade Halberds also. Yep, 4 Jade Halberds there, some Peasant Long Spears. And then for these High Elves, looks like also some Wild Peasant Horsemen in the corner. Love to see that. Mage of Life, some Fireborn, Lion Chariots on both flanks alongside Tyrion. Silver Helms on this side, and then in the center just some White Lion Infantry and a couple of Spearmen, all of which are going to get focused by the artillery and guns of Cathay on the approach, but that means that these expensive mobile units are not getting focused down, so that's actually mostly fine, even though it's pretty painful. I mean, White Lion's not the cheapest infantry in the world, but hopefully their chariot-born brethren can get the job done here, as we do see Tyrion already sweeping in. It looks like he's going to go Sunfang, a little bit misaligned on... no, actually, I guess he was trying to chase him into it, which is actually pretty smart, but it does get a good chunk off those Iron Hail Gunners. And then the Silver Helms pull up. Unfortunately, they do miss their charge here. They're going to get countercharged by those Jade Halberds, which is not ideal, but the Chariots come in. And yeah, they kind of hit the Peasant Long Spears in the front, which is not ideal. But let's take a look at these other ones over here. They're going to tank some point-blank blasts from the Iron Hails, but hopefully their 30% missile resistance will help them carry, at least momentarily. Let's see, Lion Infantry charging in on to melee against Peasant Long Spears is totally fine. Miao Ying also dives in on Tyrion, which is a bold move. Maybe not the best move, but Tyrion is on horseback here and going to be counteracted somewhat by the halberds, so maybe it's mostly fine. See a Dwellers Below popped in the back to just nuke the Fire Rain rocket, which is an interesting call. See if it can just one-shot that piece. Meanwhile, this chariot over here is struggling to pull through, but we do see it eventually get through those infantry. Mass buff definitely helps there, and they come in and just manually dismantle a couple of the artillery pieces that weren't destroyed by that Dwellers Below. This chariot here also kind of pulls through there. It doesn't look like they're taking a lot of damage right now, and I think that's partially... Oh yeah, they're fighting a gun unit in melee, I guess that's why. But Silver Helm's also going to come in and help finish these Iron Hails off. So far, so good. Despite getting caught up in halberds for some time, they didn't take too much damage there, and were able to weather some gunfire as well, get in the back line, and start to shut down some units. So to a degree, mission accomplished. I mean, that's mostly what you want from Chariots, right? Is that level of disruption and kind of formation breaking aspects. But anyway, see here, Peasant Long Spears making a nice little rear attack into those Spearmen. They don't have many ranged units to go after here, so they kind of forced into a little bit of a hammer and anvil roll, which is not something they're ideally suited to, but speaking of not ideal, charging the Chariots into the front typically is not ideal, but they actually do okay. They don't do a ton of damage to the Dune Dragons here, but they do manage to impact them and pull through somewhat. Meanwhile, this other unit up on the high ground, let's see, are they also having some mass issues? It looks like one of them is caught up in those halberds, but the other ones were able to get through, fully turn around, and then come back around. Fortunately, that one unit model does die. That got caught up there. Just like my tongue is getting a little bit caught up today, but that's okay. Anyway, yeah, regrowth on this Lion Chariot's going to keep them nice and healthy. They've still got all 4 unit models online. That Vigor refresh will also be nice as this late game drags on. Elves are a little bit behind on the balance of power, but we'll see. They definitely have a lot of mobility still, which can sometimes help you in a situation where you're behind a little bit here. Of course, they've got to work through all these halberds first, and there are a lot of halberds left, but one Lion Chariot that got regrowth is actually doing quite well, and I almost wonder, you know, classic Alariel maybe healing the Lion Chariots, how that would go. Of course, here, Tyrion has been pretty important in his duelist nature and just kind of fighting stuff down, grinding it out in melee. Of course, he doesn't take too much damage from the Jade Halberds, but looks like he has got some of his own healing. Oh gosh, I'm getting so tongue-tied today, guys. I don't know what's going on. It's all good. We shall soldier through. Maybe I'll go get a coffee after this before I record any more today. But anyway, Miao Ying skating in on her lightning there. And the Lion Chariots, let's check in with them if they're still operating successfully. It looks like the one definitely still is. 3 unit models online there. Don't see the other one running around right now, but yeah, these Fireborn taking some shots there from the Crane Gunners is pretty painful. Bad there's no Reavers, but just in general, oh yeah, it looks like both the Lion Chariots are actually still online and reasonably healthy as well, so even though they're fighting an army with a lot of halberds, they're still doing pretty well for themselves and getting some nice little rear charges in here. Both units actually now rear charging, and I'm not sure what the Jade Warriors and Dune Dragons, are they trying to go after the caster here? Definitely should just turn around and fight, but Miao Ying also is going to dive in. In a pinch, you could maybe use these Lion Chariots to mass block Miao Ying and try and hold her in place. While Tyrion then charges in, I'm not sure if that would work very well. I think she probably has too much mass and can probably just push through the Chariots even after the mass buff. But the Fireborn, after taking a little bit of damage, finally realize what's happening. They're going to go try and finish up those Crane Guns, get caught up by the Peasant Long Spears, so tough situation there. But yeah, again, I'm not sure what the intent exactly is with these halberds here, but they're going to get charged into, and the Chariots set up a beautiful blob for an absolutely devastating dwellers below. The tree limbs and roots from the ground just grabbing those poor Cathayans and dragging them underneath the snow? I can't really tell, to be honest. I guess it's snow, right? Yeah, it's a Nagaron map. Just the sunset's giving it a weird color, and I see some odd flickering, trying not to call attention to it. You see it, I see it, let's get past it. Anyway, Tyrion's also still just grinding it out here, although he has taken a decent amount of damage, and he's pretty close to his healing cap, so Miao Ying may be feeling like she could perhaps get a snipe, especially as she casts her own Stationary Vortex. Towns the Knight gonna help nuke High Elf support units and isolate Tyrion here for her to then eat. Or just kidding, she's actually gonna try and finish off the caster first, although in doing so, opens herself up to a 2v1 with Tyrion and the caster, which is definitely not ideal. Tyrion getting a little rear charge there. He's got both his defense buffs popped up to 120 melee defense, so gonna be basically impervious to attacks, more or less. Lion Chariots also just helping to chase routing units at this point. So let's pop into a little bit of a fast forward. I have a feeling, I actually haven't watched this replay all the way through yet, but I have a feeling that this late game is going to take some time. So we see a nice little reunification here. Earthblood healing all the high value targets in that vicinity, or pretty much what's left of the entire High Elf army at this point. I mean, they've got a couple of scattered, tattered units around, including these Fireborn who can come in and maybe try and finish off those Crane Gunners once and for all. But let's see. To keep that fast forward up as Miao Ying, oh no, Miao Ying actually gets stuck on the ground here, and Tyrion is certainly fast enough to keep up with her, especially as well, I guess they're both exhausted probably, but still. Lion Chariots again come in, and they do have frontal attack animations where the Lions will actually do some paw swipes and such, and because of their charge bonus and armor piercing damage, can actually do some damage to Miao Ying, especially when she's in dragon form and all the models can get into contact. Transforms there, but that's just going to leave her exposed to Tyrion, and with her demise, it should be army losses for Cathay. We'll see. We'll take a nice wide view as Tyrion gets the finishing blow. Perhaps Tyrion doesn't get the finishing blow. Perhaps Miao Ying buffs herself with melee attack and gets a heal and manages to hold out for a few more seconds. But the fate is inevitable. Gets bowled over by a Lion Chariot there. Very ignoble end for such a haughty lady. Who's cold and aloof now, huh? More like cold and under hoof. Ha, ha, ha. Anyway. Bad jokes aside, Cathay does get finished off there, and I love to see those Lion Chariots performing well. Kind of the flank attacks on both sides, supported by heavy cavalry, end up performing decently, although the heavy cavalry themselves don't necessarily do great. The Chariots definitely get some really nice work done, which I love to see, especially against a very halberd-heavy composition. Not a lot of cavalry, and definitely like Jade Lancers plus, you know, the anti-large infantry would be a lot tougher, I think. But still, just infantry alone by themselves seems like are not enough at least the Cathayan infantry to stop up these lion chariots, which is good. I mean, they definitely got bogged down at times, but we're able to, for the most part, keep operating, keep charging, and keep generating value. Lion infantry also, and they don't get shot up too much. Trade great here. Tyrion himself getting some really nice value as well. And even 1,200 from various dwellers below, plus some healing from the Life Mage, which is nice to see. Yeah, Ying gets some nice value. Probably not quite enough to pay for herself, but the ranged units of Cathay, generally, they're kind of a mixed bag. Some are good, some are not. Halberds also, one of them gets 2,000 value randomly, but just overall, definitely very interesting. I mean, it ended up being super close, but those chariots definitely provided a pretty decisive difference. So glad to see they're in a much better place. Hopefully you guys enjoyed watching that. If you did, be sure to like, subscribe, hit that bell notification button. Every time I upload a new video, you'll be notified. Thanks again. We'll see you next time.